Now, our next speaker is the author of The Art of Thinking Clearly, Europe's best-selling business book that has been translated in over 30 languages and #1 in Singapore, Hong Kong, and the UK. He has not read the newspaper or listened to the news for almost 4 years and argued that the news media mislead us on what is relevant and important. Here to speak on Think Inc., Building a Company for the Future, please welcome Rolf Dobelli.
Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this warm welcome. It's a true pleasure to be here. Mark is a thin man with glasses who loves to listen to Mozart. Picture that man. Picture that Mark guy, and now a question to you. What do you think is more likely? A, he's a professor of literature in Kuala Lumpur, or B, he's a truck driver? Again, let's do a show of hands. Who of you think it's more likely that he's a professor of literature in KL? Hands up. It's about 90% truck driver. Again, about 4 or 5 people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's much more likely that he is a truck driver. There are, 2,000 professors of literature in KL? There are 500,000 truck drivers in Malaysia alone, so it's much more likely that he is a truck driver. What just happened? We got carried away by the particular, by that image of Mark with the thin glasses who loves to listen to Mozart, and we didn't look at the base rates. We didn't look at the statistical distribution of all these people. And that is a mistake that happens to us so much and which leads to wrong decisions in life. And that is called the base rate neglect. We don't look at statistical distributions. We always get carried away by the particular story, by the particular anecdote. This mistake happens to me a lot. It'll happen to you. It happens to journalists almost all the time. It's not just because journalists don't like statistics. It's also because you can't sell a story, you can't sell a newspaper by selling statistics and base rates. You need stories, you need anecdotes, you need individuals in stories. And that's why I don't consume news or newspapers, I don't listen to TV or radio. That's the reason why it gives me a wrong risk map of the world. So I try to concentrate on base rates because they give me a better image of the world, a more complete overview of what's really happening in the world. Now, this mistake happens a lot in business. But how could you apply it positively in business? Let's say you're the boss and the employees come to you with a 500-page description of a project. Let's say you want to implement a new IT project in your company. And in these 500 pages, it says how much the project is going to take in terms of time, how much it's going to cost, and what the benefits will be of that IT project. And now you can read these 500 pages. You can go through the whole stack of paper and see, okay, is everything consistent? Did they think about all the things you have to think about when you write these pages? Is it all correct? Did they miss anything? And so on. So you can spend the next day going through these 500 pages and then make a decision whether you want to go implement the project or not. Or you can say, no, I'm not going to read the 500 pages. I'm just going to not read it and look at similar projects in my company or in my industry. I look at how long these projects took, how much they cost, and what the benefits were. I take the average there, and I can guarantee you, you will be much closer to reality than by the particular project paper. So going for base rates instead of going for the particular will lead to better predictions and better decisions, way better decisions. There is a reason why IT projects are always 30% more expensive than planned, why they take 50% longer than planned. If you went for base rates, these mistakes would not happen, okay? So use base rates. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge, tremendous amount of intelligence in base rates. We tend not to use it, which leads to wrong decisions in life and in business. whatever it is, whenever we are in the presence of an authority, we do not think clearly, we take wrong decisions. And that's why if I am about to make a big decision in my life, either business or personal life, I go through my checklist of thinking traps, I come to the authority bias, and then I stop and I ask myself, am I in the presence of an authority right now? And if so, how does this person influence me? And only if this is clear to me, then I continue on my checklist. Do that also if you have a chance. It doesn't take that long. So working on the psychology, not on the technology, is what brought here the big breakthrough. Try to do that also. You're all leaders. You could be potential authorities to your people. Make sure you don't have an authority bias in your teams, that you talk openly about mistakes, also about your mistakes. You will have better decisions in your companies by talking about it. You're on the way to a concert, and you come across a bunch of people, they all look up to the sky. What do? You also look up. Then you're in the concert, somebody starts to clap, eventually a lot of people applaud. What do? You also clap. And then it's time to get your coat. If it's a coat check or you left something at the entrance and there's a bowl of money there, what do? You throw in a coin too. If it's empty, you tend not to throw a coin in. But if it already has money, you tend to throw in a coin. So in all three cases, we copy the behavior of others. And that is also a thinking or a behavioral trap. And that is called social proof. All humans tend to copy the behavior of others. The more people display a certain behavior, the more right that behavior seems to us. The more people express a certain opinion, the more right that opinion seems to us, which of course is absurd. If 50 million people say something foolish, why should it all of a sudden be right? It was a perfect survival strategy to copy the behavior of others in the past. Beautiful survival strategy. Without that, our species wouldn't exist. This event would never take place. But if you copy the behavior of others, today, it's not a good strategy. You make a lot of mistakes. In the stock market, if you just copy the behavior of others, it's a sure way of losing money. In business, if you just copy the behavior of others, you're not innovating. You're standing still, and eventually you're going to fail. So this is a big trap